Good morning. Welcome back to another episode of Jason's Life in 5. Today is Thursday, May 7th, 2026, and we are in Lucerne, Switzerland. We spent the night last night at the Hotel Barabas. This is the prison hotel. It was a very interesting place to stay. I didn't mind it. You know, it certainly was unique, and sometimes that's, I think, more interesting than just staying in a standard cookie cutter type hotel. So we're gonna walk down and check out a few of the sights of Lucerne. We're gonna catch a train. Either we'll catch the noon or the 1 o'clock train. I guess we'll see kind of where we're at. But there's some things we want to see while we're here. Spend a few hours, so we'll go do that. And we're inviting you to come along with us. Let's go check it out. Now, I'm not sure if that is a hotel or a restaurant or what it is up there, but it looks an awful lot like a Disneyland castle upon first glance. One of the signature landmarks of Lucerne are the classic wooden bridges. They're very unique, and you can see one here. This is the Spurbrücke. I believe I pronounced that correctly. You can come down here and see the spillway for the dam. Now this is one of two famous bridges. I think the other one's probably more famous, the Chapel Bridge, but this was built in 1408, and it's kind of neat because there are paintings up along the top that date back hundreds of years. Many of them, I guess, have the coat of arms of donors. We'll take a look at those. Heading a short distance up to probably the more famous of the two bridges, the Chapel Bridge. You can see they've narrowed the water here as well with another dam. And it always amazes me when I look at things like this, just the volume of water, and to think that it's continuously flowing 24/7, where it's all coming from, it just blows my mind. Walking along the riverfront, I looked in this window. This is the creepiest Pink Panther I think I've ever seen. Yeah, I wouldn't like that. Right up here is the Chapel Bridge, so we'll go walk across that one. See the twin-towered church right there. Got a fountain with a lion statue on top of it. Lions are a big deal here, as you'll see a little bit later. Not 100% sure why lions are such a widely known thing from the Middle Ages. It's not like they had lions in Switzerland, but I guess they just knew of them and their fierceness, I suppose. Let's go to the bridge. Now, the Chapel Bridge, or Kapelle Brücke, as they say in German, this was actually built originally in 1360. However, recently, well, fairly recently, I guess, when you consider the history of the bridge, there was a fire in 1993 that destroyed most of the bridge. It was rebuilt along with the paintings up in the ceiling, but unfortunately, a lot of the original structure was lost. But it's nice that they've rebuilt this, and it's still just the tourist magnet that you would expect. Hello.
Hello.
Just in the short few minutes we've been here, we've seen multiple people stopping to take photos on the bridge, of the bridge, and you can certainly see why. All right, well, we've seen probably the most famous site. We're gonna go check out a couple more of the famous sites of Lucerne before the train. Let's go see if we can find those. Would you look at this little cool pink truck? Do you think they actually do deliveries in this? One thing that is synonymous with Switzerland is chocolate. And I'm not sure why, because cocoa is not native to Switzerland, but I think everyone knows Swiss chocolate. We are going to go into this chocolatier. There's many throughout the city, but we're going to go into Bachmann. From what I understand, there's something that is unique to this chocolate maker. They've got all kinds of handcrafted chocolate goodness. But if you look over here, would you look at that? Is that a wall of flowing chocolate? It makes me think of the Willy Wonka scene where they're in the big room with the chocolate waterfall. I can think of a few kids that could be trusted around that. Milk Boy Switzerland. Here you go. You can get a Swiss Army knife made out of chocolate. You need some chocolate truffles. They've got probably most of the flavors you might be looking for. And if that doesn't do it, there's walls of chocolate and candy. Well, we did not satisfy any sweet teeth while we were there, but that's okay. We've had plenty of stuff, and there might be more to come. But we're going to make our way now over to probably what is the second most famous site in Lucerne. It's an old quarry where they have a sculpture now, so let's go see if we can check that out. After maybe a 10-minute walk from down where we were at the bridge, we have made it to probably one of the most famous statues in all of Switzerland, if not the most. It's the Lohen Denkmal, and this is a site, used to actually be a quarry, and since then, in 1820 to 1821, there was a sculpture that was carved out in here as a monument to Swiss soldiers. So we'll come around the corner and take a look. There it is. Lohen Denkmal. It's the dying lion. This is very popular. I actually came down here earlier today. Shortly after 7, I went for a run, and my daughter and I came over here, and there was one person. Now it is 10 o'clock. And you can see it is a little bit busier. So if you are coming, you definitely want to come earlier, or I guess later you can come and check it out as well. It might be better. But even though there's a crowd, it doesn't take away from the magnificence of the sculpture. The monument is 10 meters in length and 6 meters in height. And it's, as I mentioned, in honor of the Swiss soldiers who died fighting for the French. It lists an approximate number of soldiers who died, which was 760, and 350 that survived. And it lists the names of the officers. We zoom in here, you can see a little bit of the detail. The lion with the spear in its side, and the weapons of defense and attack. Up above the lion sculpture, written in Latin so that everyone can understand it, I guess. I don't speak Latin, but it says that's why it was written in Latin, and it says the title is "In Praise of the Loyalty and Bravery of the Swiss Guard." So I think you can see why this is a big site that people come to visit if they come to Lucerne. It's a lovely little garden. I would say if you come earlier in the morning and you want to just kind of sit here and reflect, you definitely will get that with lesser crowds. Now with the tour buses coming through and, tour guides, it is definitely more noisy than it is earlier in the day. So, all right, now we are going to go and make our way over to one of the other sites I wanted to see. and it's actually just maybe a block or less right over here down the street. So there is where the lion statue is. And right down there, that domed roof is our next destination. So they're very close to each other. It is supposedly a 360-degree painting of Switzerland. Might be Lucerne, I can't recall. But I'm quite interested to see how this is. So we have our tickets. Fortunately, with the Swiss Travel Pass, we get complimentary admission to many museums, and this is one of them. So we're going to go ahead and go on up. Scan our little ticket here. And it's another spiral staircase up. So this is pretty amazing. There is a painting 360 degrees around, and it's one continuous view. They've got some mannequins and some things to give depth to the display, but the painting on the wall is all one continuous painting. Looks like there might be some restoration work going on, and you can see the scale of the art with this gentleman standing in front of it. It's quite a massive display. So now this painting, it's not meant to display some historic or heroic war feat, but rather it was conceived to show kind of the horrors of war, as well as the humanitarian aspect of the Swiss people. And the name, Bourbowski's Panorama, it's named after General Bourbowski, who led the French army in the Franco-Persian War. And they ended up losing, and they had to surrender. And part of the agreement was that the French, there was, I think, 78,000 would have to give up their weapons, which they did. And then there were about 5,000 that were wounded that ended up being taken in by the Swiss people and cared for and gave rise to the Red Cross. And so that's really kind of what it's kind of trying to display, is the humanitarian side of the people, as well as the horrors of war, I guess you might say. And there you can see the weapons that have been collected. This is actually a very impressive painting. The artist who conceived it, he actually saw the soldiers come in 1870 when they crossed from France into Switzerland, and so that was kind of his inspiration, because it was painted in the 1880s, so it wasn't, too distant in the future from when that was done. And he had a team, I think it said, of 11 painters that helped him finish this. They actually painted it in Geneva and then brought it here. And evidently this is a medium that was not new. The panorama was actually something that was big prior to movies, because there were no moving pictures, and so this was a way for people to experience distant lands and see something new, because people certainly didn't travel like they do today. And the original one was in 1767 in Edinburgh is when it was actually patented. So I did not realize that was something that's that old. The painting is conceived, and the credited artist is Edward Castris, and he is the one that recruited the group of painters to help. And out of this struggle is, I guess, what gave rise to the Red Cross. And that is, kind of interesting because that applies to the Swiss flag. If you see, it's the red flag with the white cross. Making our way back towards the hotel. I think we're going to gather our bags and head to the train station. Get off to our next destination. We have our bags. We've made it back down by the lake and close to the train station. So I think we're gonna make it after all. We might be leaving and headed toward the train station, but we still get a beautiful view. So we have made it on the train. We rode from Lucerne to Bern, and then Bern to Vis. And now we are on the road up, or the track I should say, up from Vis to Zermatt. And the views here really are gorgeous. I can see why this is such a special train ride that they advertise, because the views are amazing. River running alongside the tracks. It's gorgeous. Passing through a town called St. Nicholas. Pretty neat looking tower, gotta be honest. Pretty neat looking everything, frankly. Seems like that would be a pretty amazing place to live down there. You might give up some conveniences, but it just might be worth it, I think. Now we've crossed the river a few times as we've gone up, so I wouldn't say if you sit on the right or the left side, you necessarily will always have the river view, but it switches. Looks like we got a little bit of snow, or I don't know if it's a glacier or just some snowpack. So it is early May, so there should still be snow up here. Certainly up in the mountain I would expect there to be. But maybe as we head into town there, I would think there would still be. A little doghouse. Not sure how well you can see that, but it looks like they're using flat pieces of stone. And I've seen it on just about most of the buildings. So I'm guessing it might be something to do with the snow and the moisture, but not really sure. I've never seen that before. See the snow-capped mountains off to the left in the distance there. Beautiful valley with the river below. past the last station before Zermatt. So we should be pulling in the next few minutes, maybe 10 minutes or so, I think is when we will be there. This is going to be good. We've just left the train station right there behind me. And now our hotel is just up here. It says it's about 2/10 of a mile, kind of up the little main Strasse or road here. So we'll go drop off our bags and then go explore. Now, as we pulled in to the station, we got just a brief glimpse of the Matterhorn, which is, I think, the main reason we're up here, frankly. And it's nice that we're able to see it. It's fairly clear, so it's gonna be a good day. Hopefully tomorrow, because that's when we're gonna go up and take the cable car up to the Glacier Paradise. Hopefully we will see another clear day tomorrow. So we've arrived at our hotel, and it's interesting because the reception desk, it says, is closed at 11 o'clock this morning, and you just find your name and what room number you are in and take your key and go up to your room. So I guess that's what we'll do. There's a view of our room. It's a simple place. We had to book 2 rooms because they did not have a triple room available. So we got a small restroom. We do have a balcony, which is nice. As Tanya about falls over the balcony, I guess. And we have a view of the clock. I think it's I would assume from the church clock tower. But the main street that we walked up is down here. The Matterhorn would be behind us. So the accommodations, I believe, will be pretty basic. And that's okay. We just need somewhere to rest for the night. It is not inexpensive to stay here. It's the off season right now, and it was, I want to say it was about $400 for the 2 rooms because we didn't have a 3-person room. I did see some places that did have a 3rd-person room available, but the cost that they were asking was more, so that's why we ended up going with this option. So you could easily spend, $1,500 or $2,000 for a night at the hotel, and that really wasn't what we were looking to do. In the distance, you can see the Matterhorn. Well, at least what you can before the clouds take it over. When we were walking in, you could see the peak a little bit, but hopefully the clouds are not parked there for the night. Evidently, we are in the lower or at least shoulder season because a lot of things are closed. There was a restaurant I wanted to go to for dinner tonight that I had seen. It's actually the one, if you've ever watched Adam the Woo, it's the restaurant where he had fondue while he was here, and it looked pretty good, so I thought we would go there. But they're closed till like June 6th. This hotel, this big hotel, they are closed until the 12th of June. So yeah, hopefully we can find enough stuff open to make it worth visiting and spending time here. Just in the shadow of the church and the clock tower is the Matterhorn Museum. I figure that's a good place to start. Get us prepped for our day visiting the Matterhorn tomorrow. So the museum, it's actually quite interesting. It took us a little bit of time to kind of figure out and get our bearings about what was going on, but it is really kind of an interesting display. A lot of it is centered on the first ascent of the Matterhorn, and it's been over 150 years. It was in 1864 or 1867, I don't remember for sure, but there was a big race to get to the top. There were some Italians trying to make it up, as well as some climbers that started from Switzerland, and each country had pride about getting up there, and so you follow the story, and what should have been a moment of triumph and a big victory, There were 7 people that made it to the summit. And ultimately, on the way down, one individual lost their footing and pulled 3 others with him, and then the rope broke, leading to 4 falling to their death. Then there were 3 individuals that were remaining up at the top because one of the individuals, Peter Togwalder, he had wrapped his rope around the rock, and because of that, the others were not pulled down. And unfortunately for Peter Togwalder, he was kind of, I think, blamed as the scapegoat. There were even suggestions that he had cut the rope, but there was another individual that survived. His son made it, but also another individual, Edward Whymper. And the story he gave kind of, I think, from all of the accounts, seemed to make it like he wanted to paint himself in a better light so that he did not get any kind of blame placed on that. So yeah, it's very interesting to see how this is done, and see how through history things get written and believed a certain way, and sometimes some people are right and others maybe are accused of things unfairly. And here they have a theater that plays different movies talking about the Matterhorn and the events of the first climb. In this building, they have the rope from the first climb that actually broke on display. They have pictures of the 4 individuals that died on their way back from the first ascent. You've got Douglas, Hudson, Haddow, and Cross, and they all died when the rope broke. And they have artifacts from those that fell: shoes, hat, rosary beads. And these are the 2 debated individuals. You have Edward Whymper here in this big portrait. And then you have Peter Togwalder. He and his son also lived, and they were the ones that were mostly blamed, even though that's probably not the case. So the verdict on the Matterhorn Museum is, I think we enjoyed it a lot more than we expected. I don't think we, what is there going to be about the mountain? And, I guess unfortunately there was drama about people dying, and maybe that's what drew us in, but it was very interesting to see. So now we're going to go, I don't know, what are we going to do now? We'll wander. Outside the museum, they have a few monuments. They have this one for Lucy Walker, the first woman on the Matterhorn. Got an ibex. And then another climber figure. Not sure why they have a fountain dedicated to marmots or groundhogs, but I do like it. Kind of looks like Puxatawny Phil. Don't drive angry. Don't drive angry. So it looks like the church, the one where we saw the tower of, it is open right now. So we're gonna go in and take a quick peek and see what's in there. And then behind that, I believe, is where the climbers' cemetery is. So we'll maybe pop down there as well. All right, gonna head back down this path. I believe the climbers' cemetery is back here. We'll come in and see the graves of those that passed while trying to climb. And when you look at the mountain, you can certainly see that it is not something for the faint of heart. So all of these people that are buried down here, you can see in the shadow of the Matterhorn. Well, between those trees is where it would be, except for the clouds. Here they have the marker for Peter Togwalder, father and son that both made it. They were the ones that survived, well, 2 of the 3. Then you have Michael Kraus. He was one of the 4 that fell to his death. You have Douglas, Robert Douglas, I believe was his name. He was one of the young ones. And then Charles Hudson, who also passed on that fateful day. So just a stark reminder that even though we think as humans we've advanced and we can do all these hard things without much risk, it still happens because some of these are not incredibly too far in the past. So, yeah. We popped into the Lindt store. They have a fountain out here. We got a hot cocoa because they have this fountain right here that's piping chocolate. Let's see. I don't know if you can see that. And they use that to make the hot chocolate. And then they steam it. So they were very excited to try this. Plus, we got a whole bag of other chocolates to take home. So we finally got our Swiss chocolate on. Ooh, that's tasty. How's your piping hot beverage?
It's very good. It's very, very rich.
It is a very rich chocolate drink. We've decided we're going to try to have dinner across the street, actually, from our hotel at the Stadel restaurant. They do have fondue according to the menu, so we'll see if we can get in and have some cheese fondue. So we have ordered fondue for the 3 of us, and then we ordered raclette. So they're going to bring that out, and we are going to have some raclette cheese.
Einen guten Appetit.
Danke.
I'm having difficulties.
How's your raclette cheese? How was it? Did you like it?
Yeah, it's really good.
Fondue is here. First tasting of the fondue. Looks like we're having some issues there, but we'll see. You look like you don't like it.
It's different than the one we made.
Dinner is done. I think everyone is sufficiently cheesed. You got enough cheese? Yes? How about you? Yes? And so we have walked up just past the museum. There's a viewpoint here where you can see the Matterhorn. All day there's been kind of a cloud just kind of hanging around it every time we've looked. But it looks like it's starting to clear just a little bit. You can barely make out the point. So, and we've watched the cloud kind of move over the last couple of minutes. So hopefully we will see it continue to move. You can see it coming out from the mist of clouds. Soon we may get a full silhouette of the mountain, or not. Evidently we are here in the off season. I know I said earlier slower. The gal at the restaurant told us it is the off season. She said that it's actually busier for them because they're one of the few places that is still open, especially serving Swiss food. So definitely, if you want to come and you don't like crowds, I guess you can come in May. But she said usually the beginning of May through mid-June is the slow period. And so just something to be aware of. We're making our way to a location that my daughter wanted to go to. She headed out ahead and hurried up there. She said it's a place she'd heard about and seen online where you can go and see the best views at sunset or whatever. So we are climbing up this hill, and there is, I don't know, maybe 100 people I can see up at the top of the hill waiting. So it's clearly not a secret destination. You can see Zermatt, the Matterhorn overlooking. I'm a little out of breath because of the hill. You can see it's definitely a happening place up here. Well, we can see that the cloud keeps teasing and it's moved back in front. So you almost can't make out any of the mountain, but the one side of the silhouette. And it's getting dark, so I think we're going to head back down into Zermatt, maybe back to the hotel. So we stopped at McDonald's because they have the bubbly old classic apple pie, and I had to get one of those. My daughter got a weird thing. It's a ice cream with caramel and popcorn, whatever. But this is the thing that's interesting to me. They have this pet recycling. So I guess you can bring your dog or cat and get a new one. Well, it is after 9:30. It's now dark, so it's a good thing we headed back towards the hotel when we did. And you could see it is getting pretty sparse, but I guess when everything's closed, because it's the low season, that will happen. So overall, I think it was a pretty good day. We enjoyed Lucerne and the Matterhorn. Fortunately, the clouds moved out. We'll see. The forecast for tomorrow is cloudy, so maybe today's the best views we got, but we will just be happy that we got anything, because evidently some people don't ever get to see it when they're here. So that is going to do it for today's adventure. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time on another episode of Jason's Life in 5. Till then, happy travels.